Yo, ladies and gentlemen, I hope y'all are doing okay. It's a very good opportunity to meet you again on this next episode on this podcast called It's Race to Us. My name is Alino Kizaza. Last time we were talking about something very interesting about the race of Queen Cleopatra, following what's up and what was going on in the media. And today I wanted us to talk about this new emergency, this new thing that's happening in the region right now. As y'all know, I'm broadcasting from East Africa, and I want us to talk about the situation that's going on in Niger right now. And today I came out with this piece of paper where I wrote a few things we're going to be talking about today. As y'all know, Niger is a country in the Sahel, and what is happening in Niger can easily have great consequences for me who's living right now in East Africa, and for many people that's living in the region and beyond. So as you know, on the 26th of July 2023, there was a coup d'etat that happened in Niger, whereby the democratically elected president, Mr. Bazoum, was deposed by the chief of his guard, General Chiani, who's right now proclaimed himself the leader of Niger. And as you can see, this is not new. We've been having issues on the political level whereby we've been seeing coup d'etats happening in different countries in Africa. And basically, we are just tired of this. This is not how we want things to go. We want democracy, you know what I'm saying? We want countries where people are going to be able to vote freely, to express themselves, and to have a say in the future of their country. So things like what just happened in Niger right now is just a setback again. Is a setback to the Africa that we want to build. Unfortunately, we've been watching on the news, on TV, there's been a lot of support in Niger itself for this coup. You wonder what's happening. Are the people giving up on democracy? In fact, when we are addressing the issues of coups, we also need to address the issue of the fact people are also tired of fake democracies that we're having right now. We've been having the problems of leaders that actually been puppets working against the interests of their countries, rigging elections. We also had cases where European and Western countries, America and Europe, that prone democracy have been supporting regimes that are not democratic. We've been having instances in Africa whereby the West intervened to remove presidents that have been democratically elected, and also back presidents that are dictators or that turn out to be dictators in the future, and they still continue to enjoy the security and the friendship of the West. One of the examples is right now in Cote d'Ivoire, when Laurent Gbagbo refused to accept that he lost the elections back then. I remember France and the Western countries intervened militarily to remove him from power, and the new president, Alassane Ouattara, was prone as a leader that's going to promote democracy. But what we have today in Cote d'Ivoire is that this leader himself is now seeking the third or even enjoy the third term in office, which is unconstitutional, but he still enjoys the support of the West. So the problem sometimes is this double standards. Is it the democracy we want to promote, or you want to promote double standards? If as long as you submit to the West, you are accepted, and as long as you go astray or you want to talk for your people, you are hated. This is the reason why many people now are losing hope in democracy and are supporting these coups, which are also not bringing any solution. The reason why I came today, the problem now is urgent. We have seen the leaders of ECOWAS, which is the West African bloc of nations. ECOWAS say that they want to intervene militarily in Niger, which means they want to fight a war in Niger. They want to send boots on the ground, soldiers, and fight the junta, which is having power right now, in order to bring back the democratically elected president, Bazoum, back into power. This is what's supposed to be done exactly. I believe he must be restored to power, and power must be restored to the hands of the civilians. And this coup must be doesn't need to be there. However, I do not believe that war is the solution here. War is not the solution here. First, we heard rumors that France was threatening to attack Niger with military force against the military leadership in Niger right now, the coup leadership right now. And I'm like, France, why do you want to intervene in Niger? Why war? And next thing you hear, ECOWAS is giving an ultimatum saying, we give the junta in Niger up to the 6th, this Sunday, tomorrow, to restore President Bazoum. Otherwise, the ECOWAS is going to intervene militarily. The intention is good, but the means is the problem. Do we really want to fight a war right now in Africa, in the Sahel region, given all the problems we have right now? Look, Ukraine is burning. We have problems of food, insecurity, problems. Sudan is burning. Do we again want Niger to be burning right now? I believe we can find other solutions, peaceful solutions to go about this thing. I'm starting to suspect that maybe France is pulling the strings behind ECOWAS to start this war. I don't believe that ECOWAS in Africa, we don't really solve issues by fighting. I don't really believe ECOWAS just want to fight. I think France is pulling the strings behind this. And if this is what's happening, this is very bad. We're not supposed to be fighting for France. You know what I'm saying? There are many ways we could find a solution that's peaceful to this. And if they don't see a way to find a peaceful solution, they have to find a way, because this is the reason why you are politicians, so that you can find solutions. You get paid taxpayers' money. One of the things that's puzzling the people, and even myself, is, you know, you've seen in the capital of Niger, people all across the country supporting the coup leadership, denouncing France and the West, and supporting Russia, hoisting Russian flags. This is a little bit controversial, because basically, in as much as we've seen so much changes happening in the world, and we're seeing, you know, the influence of Russia also coming in, but the question that we're really wondering is what kind of system is really going to prevail. Of course, we are sick and tired of this white supremacy system, hegemony, whereby some of us in Africa here are left on the flip side of the disaster, and we just undergo, we just, you know, suffer the consequences. Of course, we want a world which is just and fair, whereby us as black people are also going to be regarded as people that matter, and we're going to be recognized for our contribution, and a world which is racism free, which is, you know, just a nice word. We all want that. This is what Russia and China say they are bringing, because they say they are bringing something opposite to what the Western system is. And the Western system, you know, is based and built on slavery, colonialism, and white supremacy. And when Russia say we bring in an alternative, many people in Africa are kind of, you know, impressed. You know, but we asking the question, how democratic this is going to be. Are we going to go into a system where, you know, it's going to be just despots and dictators, and freedom is going to be curtailed, you know, like some people fear? We hope this is not what's happening. The reason why people are siding with Russia is because people are tired with the Western way of doing things, especially in Africa, whereby Africans are being treated like subhumans by the West. The way our country deal with the West, they plunder our resources, they take what we have for less. You know what I'm saying? So many Africans and many African countries know about this thing. So they thinking maybe Russia is bringing a nice alternative. This is yet to be known. But people should not be surprised why people in Niger are supporting Russia, why people in Niger want to distance themselves from France. It's because of the history they have with France, the past they have with the Western world. You know, this is their experience. We're just outsiders and we can't judge them. The thing is, this should send a message to the Western country that it's higher time you started doing things the right way, dealing with Africa the way you're supposed to be dealing with Africa. It's higher time you treated Africans fairly. You know what I'm saying? This is what it means to me. So ECOWAS should not intervene in Niger right now, because first of all, I'm thinking the timing is very bad. The timing is very bad. This is the war in Ukraine is there, and we know the devastating effects it has had on our economies, on the livelihoods of people. And so we have climate change, and Niger is in the Sahel region where climate change, the consequences of climate change are real and hitting hard, hitting home. So bringing a war in such a region is going to be disastrous right now. So the timing for war is not good. You know what I'm saying? And also we have countries that threatened to join this fight in case Niger is attacked. We have countries like Burkina Faso and Mali that said, we're going to join this fight and we're going to fight against ECOWAS. And we know why, because these countries are also run by people that took power through coups. These people are also regarded as, coup leaders. So their own survival depends on this. And I believe they can come and fight. And if you have this war in this region where many countries are fighting, I don't think it's going to be a nice thing right now, because despite the coup, despite the threat to democracy, the people in Niger right now are still living their lives. People are going to school, people are going to church, people are going to the mosques, people are going to sell, people are going about their businesses, you know what I'm saying? And so if we have to start a war, all of this is going to be put to an end. And I don't think this is what we want. If we want to build from somewhere, if we want to rebuild democracy in Niger from somewhere, we shouldn't destroy the country through war and think of rebuilding it, because nowhere we've seen these war interventions work. We've seen in Libya, in Syria, we've seen in the Congo. And when war comes to your country, the destructions that it causes, to recover from this kind of destructions and the scale of destruction takes a long time. Some countries can come back from that, but this is not Europe, this is not America. We've seen the war in Ukraine. Good enough, they have countries that can come together and are already pledging money to reconstruct, to rebuild. But Africa, we don't have these economies, we don't have this money to rebuild so many countries if they have to go down the drain like that. So the consequences of war outweigh the benefits. This is not the path that we could go. So one of the reasons I oppose the war and I am for a peaceful solution is the disastrous nature of war. I myself have been a victim of war and I know the consequences. It's far beyond what you can imagine. There is a big fear that we're going to have another proxy war in Africa like what we have in Ukraine right now. In Ukraine, we know it's now America, the Western world, and Europe that's fighting against Russia. And, unfortunately, this is happening on Ukrainian soil. So many Ukrainians are dying, and also Ukrainians are defending their homeland. But, we have proxy war there. We don't want to have the kind of proxy war in Africa as well. We know the Wagner group is gaining ground around, is establishing camps. This can easily infuriate the West. And so we don't want this to be like Russia fighting the West in Africa, because this is going to be a disastrous war. You've seen the kind of warfare equipment going to Ukraine, the kind of damage that's being done to the environment, to the people, to the country itself, and the effects that this is going to have in the long run. And we don't want to have this in Africa. We don't even have the resources to clean after that. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about the innocent people. We've seen the war in Sudan. We've seen how the refugees have been crossing borders to Chad, to other countries that have been through so hard times. And this is creating more burden for these countries. We've seen how the floods of refugees from Sudan is being felt by the countries that are receiving them, because these countries also are not really doing well economically themselves. These are poor countries receiving more refugees from other countries. It's not helping them. By starting a war now in the region, we're putting so many countries at risk. We're putting refugees at risk, because refugees are going to be pouring across the borders. These countries where they're going to be going to, they're going to need to take care of these refugees, and the resources are limited for their own people already. So we don't want to stretch these countries. And in Africa, when we get problems, we alone to sort out our problems. There's very little aid that comes to us. We see the kind of aid that's going to Ukraine, and we don't really get that. We don't want to start a war right now. I am surprised how the mainstream media is happy about the war. When you watch the news on the mainstream media, it's like, yeah, ECOWAS is ready for the war. The generals are meeting, they're amassing troops. This is it. We're sick and tired of this. Yeah, we're sick and tired of this, but we're sick and tired of wars too. Like I said, the consequences of the war is going to outweigh the benefit. People now are going about their lives in Niger making some money, and the war is going to put that to an end. You know what I'm saying? I'm suspecting, is this a divided to conquer kind of something whereby they're going to divide the people again around the region? The consequences are going to be long lasting. This war is going to draw so many countries into it. And we don't want again having, countries divided through wars. We need to build friendships and capacity right now. This is not nice. This is not the best time. Is it because Niger has uranium? We've seen many coups happening around, but we didn't see this kind of intervention. Is it because Niger has uranium? Is it because France is feeling like it's losing its grip on Africa? Because France has so much investment in Niger. The Operation Barkhane, which is supposed to be against the terrorists, but apparently is not working, it's failing. France has got equipment there. It's got so many soldiers there. Is it because of this interest that France is kind of fanning the fire for war? Is it because of uranium? Is it because they fear maybe Russia is gonna take control of Niger and tap into the uranium because this is a nuclear power? These are nuclear powers. We can understand why you hate each other. We can understand why you're fighting for your interest. But the people in Niger, the people in the African region, these are poor people. These are a poor region, and the consequence is we don't want elephants fighting in our backyards, and we are just the grass. We are here for peace. We are for a peaceful resolution of these conflicts. We know the history, the background that we have, slavery, colonialism, exploitation, and France has not been dealing fairly with the countries that it colonized. We know exploitation has been there. Countries have been crying. Can we trade on equal terms? Like you buy equally, we trade equally, instead of this kind of patronage relationship whereby you impose to us how we have to sell our minerals to you. And for those that choose to put their own people first, you invade and create wars to remove them from power. These are the kind of relationship that the people in Africa are fed up with and are sick of. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, France has had a long history with Africa. The West, France, America, all these countries, they should learn that the time has changed. This is the time they need to treat and they need to trade with African on equal terms. If you want to buy my minerals, my materials, my knowledge, you need to earn it. Buy it like, we need to trade. France, I know France is afraid to lose its influence in Africa because France is gaining a lot of money from Africa. Every year, France alone makes more than 500 billion euros from its African colonies. This is a topic we can expand later, but this is known, and there are many high-profile people that have spoken about this issue. Our history with France was a history that soaked in blood, but France had a lot of time to learn and to rectify its course, to start treating Africans well and fairly, but they didn't. Instead, they chose to continue with the imperialism, with the imperialist mindset. This is the reason why we have these kind of problems right now, where Africans don't want anything to do with France or the West anymore, and they are choosing Russia. So what? If you're losing the influence, it's okay. Why do you refuse to lose the influence to the point where you want war to break out in the region in Africa where black people are gonna die? We know you don't value the life of black people. We know to you black lives don't matter, but black lives matter. When the war broke out in Europe, you say, no, why war in Europe? This is Europe. We can't be fighting in Europe again. But why are you pushing for war in Africa? Why are you pushing ECOWAS to fight? Because if ECOWAS want to fight, it means they are receiving guns and support from outside Africa, from the Western world in general. America, France, Europe in general, who knows why and who knows who. If you are losing the influence, just accept to lose the influence and go back home. You can build on your own. You don't have to thrive out of other people's suffering. This is the reason why I stand today to say I oppose the war. I oppose the coup and I oppose the coups. We have to find a good solution. We have to find peaceful and democratic solutions to these kind of situations. African leadership must change. We need leaders that think about the countries first. Leaders that are conscious about the struggles that we have for equality. Leaders that can put the people first instead of political gains. These leaders must stand up and claim, and Africans voters must know how to vote. We also discourage rigging. Regimes and presidents that are rigging elections, you are a shame. You are a disgrace to Africa and to democracy. And you are causing this kind of mistrust and this kind of tragedy. So I'm here for peace, and I hope everybody's going to learn the lessons. We had wars around in many countries, and no good outcome came out of war. Right now, I repeat again, the people in Niger are going about the businesses. They are eating, they are selling, they are trading, they are studying despite the coup. And if we bring a war now, all of that is going to stop, and nothing is guaranteed that the coup leaders are going to change their mind. They could fight to the end, and we're going to have so many people dead for nothing. I hope my message gets to the people that need to listen to it. Thank you very much for your attention. We pray for peace. Tomorrow is Sunday. I hope the coup leadership in Niger today, before tomorrow, is going to return the power into the hand of the elected president Bazoum and the civilian leadership, so that to avoid any kind of further confusion. And I hope and I know that ECOWAS is full of wise people that know that and understand that war is not the wise solution right now and ever. We need peace, and we need to find peaceful solutions. Reason why you're a politician and you get taxpayers' money is to find solutions that profit everybody. Solutions that keep the people safe and the country safe and the people united. This is Africa. Today, unfortunately, we divided. There are borders all around the places that was traced and placed by Europeans, but not us. And we should not continue to be divided further, because the more divided we are, we're going to collapse. Kwame Nkrumah said, Africa has no choice. Either we unite or we disappear. Thank you very much for your support. God bless you. God bless Africa.